It helps process emotions, writing thoughts out instead of overthinking, like you said with the yarn.
Can I actually touch on this real quick? Because I think
Yeah, as soon as I finish, you can,
okay.
my guy. Love you, man.
Love you too.
It's better than keeping everything in your head, and you're making a plan out for what's going on in life. But go ahead.
So I actually went and saw. There was this gentleman at a church I used to go to. He came in and was talking about relationships and everything, and he was specifically talking about like the differences between men and women. And I think this is an awesome analogy for how journaling can help too. So he related a man's brain to a warehouse. Okay. Whereas in this warehouse, a man has, boxes for each thought and everything too. None of the boxes touch. Everything is very organized kind of thing, but we can only get out one box at a time. If we get out more than one box, chaos ensues and everything like that. In a man's brain, that's very difficult. Whereas a woman's brain is kind of that ball of yarn. Everything is interconnected. Like house is connected to the kids are connected to the car's connected to school's connected to bills we got to pay and everything like that. So there's just this chaos that ensues that a man can't process. And I think for a man journaling, if we have that chaotic point where we have more than one box open kind of thing, we have, the kids box, we have, the work box, we have the home box, we have all these different boxes open, it's difficult for us to focus on one thing. And I think journal actually gives us the opportunity to kind of get everything back in order, pull one box out at a time that we were trying to focus on before, and actually sit down and talk about them.
That connects to one of the points of why journaling, which is it can help you problem solve.
Yeah.
You write your problems out on paper, you can see it. It's not up here trying to figure it out. Oh, forgot squirrel.
Yep.
Nope. You write it out on paper and you can see it, and you begin to problem solve everything. What's another reason on why to journal? Actually, when it says self-reflection, why is that important?
So I would say self-reflection is huge. It's the one thing that's going to help you grow as a person. One thing that I feel like I have said before, and it's like something that I think most people should live by, is if you're not growing, then you're falling back. Like you need to always have that mindset of how you're going to progress. And I feel like with journaling, you're able to become more aware of your emotions, more aware of ways that you've slipped, because we all slip with our emotions, where we let anger get the best of us, where we let negative self-talk creep into our head. But if we're willing to write that down and journal about it, then we're more aware of those things as they come up, and we're more aware of those patterns so that we can break those patterns and start a new one.
I like that. You can, inside your journal, another reason why, you can unload all your fears. Everything, insecurities, frustrations, and you can do it constructively. You can work through things, a constructive way to work through things, and it's very, very important. And there was another point that I did want to bring up. Not even a point. I want to ask a question so we can break down for others out there. And take this question, take it further than what it is. How do you actually sit down, take the safe space, and journal? How did yours start?
I think it starts mainly with having a schedule.
Deeper, more than I'm looking for more than that. Sorry, it's not a challenge question
No,
or
you're good.
anything, because I remember me being in a sad place, and I remember.
How did I get to the
I was
point
going
where I
to say
started
there's a
journaling?
cataclysmic event that happens that forces
Yes, and I remember grabbing that journal and finding a notebook, and we always look at notebooks very interestingly. We just look at it like, man, we could write something down, we could draw something, and I remember grabbing that notebook. I was in a sad place.
It's a creative mindset.
Yeah, and sitting down and just looking up, grabbing a pen and holding it, having no idea how to start, and just sitting there thinking, and just began to kind of cry through the notebook and writing out how I was feeling. That's where mine kind of started at.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. There has to be some sort of a cataclysmic or a defining moment. It's kind of like, we see it in the superhero movies and everything, that origin story, that event that sends the hero into,
No, we ascend. Yeah.
we ascend to something greater.
Now we start aiming up.
Yep. I think there are, especially for men, there are points where we hit that ceiling kind of thing. And it takes a great amount of force or some event or something to break us through that ceiling to get to the next level kind of thing.
Yes.
So, and I think journaling is a great way to do that because it gives you that self-reflection, gives you that self-awareness and everything too. I think I'm gonna share a prompt on this one if you don't mind.
Yeah.
I think mine was actually the prompt that my therapist Esteban gave me when I first started going to him. I was, just in there a couple of weeks, was going through a lot of different things. And he was like, all right, here's what you're going to do. You're going to go home. I want you to find an old picture of yourself, somewhere between the age of 8 and 12. I'm like, okay, cool. And he's like, I want you to write down what you would say to that, that kid. What would you say to him? What are some things that happened? What are some things that you would tell him in the moment? And I tell you what, that was my breakthrough moment when it came to journaling.
Okay.
And it was so incredibly, it made me so incredibly vulnerable, to actually sit down and actually have this picture out of this little kid, this little me kind of thing, and sit there and be like, okay, what am I going to say to this kid? This kid's going through a lot right now as it is. I remember when the picture was taken and everything. He's going through so much. And for me, being, 27, 28 at the time, and sitting down and being like, okay, what do I say to this kid? Like, and it was so hard. But then I started thinking about like all the things that we've been through between then and now. And I'm like, man, it gets better. It gets better.
It gets better. It gets better. Did you want to touch on something real quick, Levi? Before what you said with your breakthrough, I'll share my breakthrough, even that ties into me, like the creation of the podcast. But go ahead.
Yeah, so I would say my breakthrough was just through situations going on in my life, I was able to realize that I wasn't on the level that I wanted to be on emotionally, like with how I express myself, with the things I'm willing to share with other people.
Pause.
So
Not yet. Sorry. He's over here yawning in the mic. Like, bro, what?
I wasn't even like making noise. I was yawning. You started it.
Yawning in the mic.
All right, so I started.
I'm sorry. That was.
All right, come on.
So I started journaling just because I came to the realization that me as a person, I wasn't where I wanted to be emotionally and with my ability to share. I know for a fact I'm an introverted person. I know that sometimes I struggle with sharing my thoughts with other people. And I feel like the first way to get a jump on that was to share my thoughts with myself.
Question: is your mom introverted?
Yeah, she is. She can be.
Okay. The only reason I ask is because your dad is not
He's
at all.
definitely extroverted. Yeah.
So that's what. Sorry, just wanted to ask it real quick.
All right, so we'll breakthrough moments, and we'll get very specific and very vulnerable with this podcast. And in 2022, I remember I started a new journal because I was having visions of creating the podcast, and I wasn't listening. I finally listened, and I titled it One Summer of 2022. Page 1, first entry. That's what I titled it, One Summer of 2022. And it goes, the BrokeMans Podcast came to me in a daydream's vision. Sometime in early 2021, the name The BrokeMans Podcast came from a place of being mentally and financially broken. When things aren't going your way and you've been down bad in a financial point of view, with bills piling up, the two can go hand in hand, and things can end very badly. And then next, I remember this is either the same night or the next morning, I had a realization from journaling. I've gotten into some life-changing mental altercations with myself. This summer, I've gotten a chance, by the grace of God, to be completely isolated and alone. Being extremely introverted, I can see how this isn't a good thing. So I realized that me being introverted and identifying with it so strongly was hurting me. It was hurting me. And I had to change things I had to look within and change things about myself to get to that point where I was like, okay, I need to switch. I need to learn how to be extroverted as well. And it's a good thing. And I'm not done yet.
I was itching.
All right. So this time alone has given me time to find my authentic self and love myself. I have to admit that I thought I was going crazy. And as sad as it is, I thought I was about to check myself inside a mental institution. It got that bad. It got that bad to where I thought I was going that crazy.
I'm just gonna say the Grippy Sock vacations are nice.
Okay. The time I spent alone transformed my mind and body, giving me mental peace and clarity. In a time where the price of living and gas were very high and constantly going up, I found some peace and appreciation for life, for living, and love while being broke. I've learned the importance of meditation and the importance of prayer. I needed to learn myself from a sort of third-person point of view. I believe that the higher power, or God, as to whoever you want to call it, needed me to do this. While feeling extremely abandoned and lonely, I had friendships end, friends not show up when I thought I needed them the most, family die. I found a way to dance with peace and surrender to God or the higher power and all the love that I had to offer. And peace to the divine.
So one of the things that hit me about that entry the most was being truly alone. And I like that because as an extrovert, and I know you guys know this.
Dear God, do we know this? Go ahead.
You're an extrovert?
I know it's
Really?
Crazy.
it's
Never
crazy.
thought.
I know.
But it never thought.
You know, you surround yourself with people so much that it just gets exhausting. Just like you guys get exhausted in social settings, you know, very quickly and everything. Extroverts get the same way too. And I completely understand where you guys are coming from with like having that self-isolation and everything and finding peace and serenity and, you know, just solitude in it. And I just want to say I think that was incredible and I appreciate you sharing that.
Thank you. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, one thing I liked about it was you were able to talk about being self-isolating and how it was something that you do enjoy sometimes, but you were also able to be critical of it to show that you weren't always successful and that wasn't helping you in any way. So then you realized, okay, I can have my alone time, but something that's just as important is me spending time with others. Otherwise, I get to a headspace where I feel like I'm not doing what I need to be doing, or I'm feeling like I need to be checked into a mental hospital or something along those lines. And I think when you isolate for so long by yourself, that's something that can come up. Mm-hmm. And that now you have that documented. So I don't think that's something that you'll let yourself get into a habit of doing again.
Yes, pay very close attention to your social battery. Mm-hmm. It's a real thing. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's good to be healthily isolated, if I'm saying it correctly. And it is also good to know when your social battery is running low. You need to recharge and reset. Mm-hmm. And it's okay. So you need to pay very close attention to it. Else it can throw you off. And it will throw you off. And you'll feel like, no, I no longer need to be social. I need to be alone again. I'm introvert for a reason. I need to just be alone. And that's what I was identifying with for a while. And that was not it. Yep. I didn't realize. I was like, okay, I didn't have